Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Welcome everyone. So this is the time during satsang where you have noticed your ease a little bit. You've stopped. You've come here, sat down, given yourself an opportunity to let go a little bit, to realize that you're here for a couple of hours, so you don't need to be worried about what happened before or thinking about what's happening this afternoon. You're just here. The longer we sit here together in this silence, the more this recognition, I am here, comes to you, even if you don't think about it. You do yourself a favor every time you settle into your own quiet. When you do this with the body, the mind can struggle for some period of time. You may have noticed. But for most of us, given a little bit of time, usually only 15 or 20 minutes, the mind begins to struggle a little bit less because the body is still. This is the value of setting aside some time for meditation each day. In the beginning, most of you are long-time meditators and practitioners, I realize, but some of you are not. In the beginning, it often feels like I'm getting nowhere. But then something begins to happen over a couple of weeks or a couple of months. The mind begins to understand that when you set it in this position, sitting still somewhere, doesn't need to be necessarily on the floor, it can be in a chair. Better if you're not lying down, at least in the beginning. But the mind begins to understand that you are really requesting that somehow it leave you alone for a period of time. And eventually it does. Begins to understand that it is not the primary place your attention needs to be. When you are quiet. But rather, that the attention can simply rest, settle a little bit, give up some of its constant search for satisfaction. And rest in the awareness itself, acknowledging only, I am here. It's at this point that meditation or true inquiry can begin. this recognition, I am here, or the question, who or what am I, is not used to reinforce the sense of the personal that you have, that you are a personality, a person, that you have a life, that you have goals, you have plans. This is not what's being investigated, this aspect of personality. Through this recognition, I am here, I am aware, who am I, what am I? Through this inquiry, the sense of personality, the sense of me-ness, and eventually the sense of I-ness begins to dissolve. So when you stop for a period of time each day, this sense of personhood, me-ness, dissolves a little bit more each time. This can be a scary proposition for the mind and for the personality, whose main goal is to survive. But the struggle for survival by this personality, by this me-ness, is what prevents you from knowing that which is aware is here now. Knowing yourself as being, consciousness, and bliss. So you can take your time if some fear rises for you. If this personality complex just keeps invading your silence, be patient, be compassionate. Be kind toward yourself, toward this imaginary personality, this imaginary me. But also be persistent. Keep coming back, day by day, moment by moment. Asking this question, who or what am I? What is existing here? What is aware here? A moment will come when this question, who am I? What am I? What is aware? Will dissolve into the silence of your own being, and you will realize this is what has been here all along. Through this whole search, through personality, through me-ness, through you-ness, through mine-ness, this whole journey was a dream. And now, it's possible to know that which is aware is here now. And that I has dissolved into this awareness, which is pure and pristine, naked and real, and the foundation or the space or the screen upon which everything else is being projected. And this personality that you've had in the past may still remain for some time, but now it's seen to be rising in the space of awareness itself. It's not felt to just be rising in a body, as a body, in a mind, as a mind, but rather is recognized to be the spontaneous manifestation of consciousness itself. And that all of this, which is experienced, is that. And a great compassion and love and kindness rises naturally for yourself as a body, for the world, and for experience. All of this is that. And this you, or this me, that you feel at this moment is simply the witness of that. When you touch this recognition, the experience is one of happiness, the recognition of the self, and rises in the mind as the perception that you have been this all along. And in this moment can be seen that while nothing has changed, in some way, everything has changed. And you simply walk on. But now you walk on without fear, with love and compassion for everything and everyone that you encounter. So I know that some of you have doubts. So this is the time to bring those doubts, concerns, fears forward. Do we have a microphone that's working? Do we have a microphone that's working? So, yeah, if you'd like to speak with me for a few minutes, then please raise your hand and we'll pass you a microphone.
we sit this morning, there's physical sensations, there's a heavy heart, and just like some tiredness that comes, so there's like witnessing of that, and as we sit more and more and more, it's seen that it's not me, but it's still very present. So it's still identified with, it feels like. And I'm not sure how to use the inquiry to go beyond, because it feels like almost as if it grows. Sometimes it grows and it gets more magnified, and then it just goes. And
what happens?
Sometimes it's almost like it's seen more and more and more, and then something just goes beyond. But I'm not sure about the key. It feels like sometimes there's a key that unlocks, and it is the inquiry, but I'm not sure it's used as properly as possible. So you said before, don't react and just stay with it. So just staying with it and not reacting or not wanting it to go away.
Just standing in it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's actually a staying with it, a standing in it, yes.
Yes.
But there's also something behind is there, but it's not where the position is at the moment. Not sure.
But didn't you say that at some point it let go?
It has in the past.
It's not today. It's here now. This sense of heaviness.
Yeah. And it's been here many times, this heavy heart. Yeah.
And when this heavy heart feeling is here, what have you been doing with it up till now?
I used to be scared of it, not want it to be there. Now these past weeks, it's just more just sitting with it, letting it be, and as you just not reacting, so just being okay, and it's remaining calm, that it's okay that it's there.
But as you do that, it sounds like you are realizing that maybe there's a depth to this pool, you can say, that you haven't experienced before. A depth to this sadness. Is that what you mean by it seems to be getting heavier?
Yeah, so it comes even more, yeah.
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 And so, this is a long-standing tendency, samskara, for you. So now, along with standing in it and not reacting, tell this sadness, this heaviness, please come here. Sit right here on this knee. Let me love you. I am not afraid anymore. That's it, breathe. Yes. Breathe down here. Notice this tendency to have the breath come up here because this is the fear. Okay, this is the fear. Just slowly, compassionately coming back here. So this wave is passing a little bit now. So do you see that there's nothing to fear? It's a wave. There are things that you can do, such as coming into this belly position, to allow this wave to pass. Part of this tendency, this reaction, if you will, is not to the sense of heaviness or sadness. It's to the fear that forced the life force, the energy, the breath up into your throat. But as you sit here, as you keep your focus not only on what is going on in the physical body, but also witnessing what is happening in this fear state, in this mind state, there is a letting go that happens. This is the non-reactivity part. As we experience it, if we are able, as you did, to be here, to say, yes, please come sit, I'm here, I'm holding you, this fear, this sadness, it's okay. We give a welcoming permission for the experience to both be here and to dissolve. It's when we engage the mind in some story about it that we grab at it, we cling to it, or we try to push it away. And then it can't go of its own accord. It can't go in its own time. How is it now?
Now it's calm.
Now it's calm.
Yeah.
This wasn't even a very big wave, was it? Probably the fear was bigger than the wave.
The fear that comes on top of the wave, that's bigger actually.
Yes, yes. But you know, the waves are part of the ocean, right?
Yeah.
The lightning storm that's above the ocean, which is the fear in this analogy, is not part of the ocean. It's on the surface of the ocean, for sure. But when we look at the mind, what we can see is that the mind survives and supports itself in the terms of the experience of me or mine by grabbing a hold of something that it has no idea what it is and saying, this is fear, and so I have to be concerned here. You know, as soon as the lightning starts, I have to do something. No. Even to name it fear is to give that mental belief some validity, even by naming it. So this is why the pointer is just stand in what is here. And the attitude is acceptance, non-reactivity. These have their foundation in beingness, yes, in this calmness which is prior to whatever wave is there or whatever storm is in the sky, in the mind, causing the wave. Very good. always remember you are the ocean. The waves come and go. Even the storms come and go. You are the ocean. The waves are part of the ocean. They are not separate from the ocean. Life has its ups and downs, has its stories, has its experiences. The body has its sensations. Fear is a sensation. It's not just a thought. It's also a sensation. But you are the ocean of being. By opening to what is here, being present in this moment, accepting what is here in this moment, you open the heart space to whatever is here in this moment. And in doing so, you give whatever is here in this moment the space to return to the nothing, which is its origin. All of this is happening spontaneously. You are the witness to all of it. Once you master this ability to remain as the witness will dissolve. So these are the steps or phases, if you will, of how the inquiry works. From the recognition that there is a perception of some me or some perception of I, through the recognition that there is only awareness and everything else is passing. This is the journey from the unreal to the real.
I have more a question about the nature of awareness.
The nature of
awareness. Because this morning I was in a ashram, and
bring the mic up a little.
during the meditation in the ashram, I had the feeling that I'm detached from my senses.
Yes.
Something very, very new, that my senses, which come from the body, because senses belong to the body, they were especially hearing and seeing. And I have a question for you about this nature, awareness, and the senses. Yes? Is awareness possible without senses? Because there are people, for example, who are special needs, and they don't hear, they don't see. We can communicate with them in a special way through tapping or. And I'm sure that they are aware. Because they have awareness. But maybe we are talking about a different awareness. So, what would you say about the senses and awareness?
can be said that the senses are an extension of awareness. Can also be said that they are the receivers of experience in the waking state. Can also be said, while they point to the awareness, which is making it possible for them to be open, if you will, eyes are open, ears are open, right? Tongue is open, senses are open, mind is open. Well, it makes it possible for them to be open. It's not dependent upon them being there. You know this yourself. All that conversation aside from people who sense differently, right? Who have a different set of senses based on some physical difference between you and them. You also, every single night, push yourself into a space where you voluntarily let go of awareness which is operating through the senses. Every night, you close the sense doors in some way, or you just let them go, and you allow yourself to drift into deep sleep. Yes?
Like all of us.
Yes, everyone.
But there are these 3 stages of awareness: sleeping, waking, and dreaming. Yes, seven. And the dreaming and sleeping, the senses don't participate.
Yes. They don't. The senses don't participate. But if you wake up in the morning, when you wake up, if I'm sitting there and I say, "How did you sleep?" You say, "I slept well." If you did, or you say, "Oh, I didn't sleep so well." Right? You know this immediately. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to your senses don't have to tell you that you slept well. You know immediately, I slept well. So this points us to this awareness which is ever present and not dependent upon the sense doors, the sense vehicles, the sense objects being present. In deep sleep, there are no sense objects. There are no senses are there. One is not seeing, one is not smelling, one is not tasting, one is not touching, one is not thinking. Right? The senses are not in operation.
I'm not sure, because during dreams, you have very
No, that's a different state. We'll talk about that in a minute.
experiences of smell or touch or
Hello.
Yeah. In the dreams, you were saying in the dream state what?
But during the dreams, I often have very vivid experiences of beauty or touch or smell,
Yeah.
melody, hearing. Yes,
Yes.
it's possible.
Yes. So once again, though, do understand that that means the sense doors are open. Maybe not the sense doors in the waking state, but the sense doors in the dreaming state are open. They are experiencing, they are interpreting, they are, right?
Sure. Yeah.
This is not the same as the deep sleep state. In the deep sleep state, there is neither dreaming, nor are the sense doors open as they are in the waking state. Is that true?
There is like kind of blackness, nothing to experience. I don't remember when I at the deep sleep, I don't remember anything.
Yes, that's right. This is the consequence, though, of you thinking that you are limited to being a mind which needs to remember what is happening. But actually, I'm pointing you toward the experience that says you don't need to remember. You simply know I was sleeping well. And the way it appears to the waking state is I was here one moment, and the next moment I was waking up. Even time hasn't passed, right? Isn't this the experience you have when you go into deep sleep? You just wake up. You go to sleep, you wake up. You go to sleep, you wake up. Maybe 8 hours has passed. But to the waking consciousness, right, in the waking state, it's as though no time has passed at all. You have to look at the clock and say, oh, I slept for 8 hours. Or you have to look outside and say, oh, it was dark before and now it's light. But in truth, what's happened is the senses have closed, and a moment later they have awoken again in the waking state.
No, there is such a moment of you wake up and then you kind of feel your body, and it doesn't come immediately. You feel well or not. It takes a little bit of time just to realize if I rested, if I slept well, or
So, okay, if it takes a little bit of time in the waking state, then how is it possible that you don't see those increments of time through a deep sleep period that lasts 4 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours? How is that possible that you don't see that period of time passing? And yet you still know after that, just that couple of minutes, I slept well or I didn't sleep well.
in some teachings they say that during the sleep the astral body is sleeping. So you are in a way the ego and the astral body is leading you, and the physical and etheric is still there. So like body and physical. And then it comes back when you wake up. So you have all these feelings.
Yes, this is just another form of the teaching. In Advaita, it's said that, the samskaras resolve themselves in deep sleep by going back into the heart, and then when the waking state opens again, then the samskaras, the tendencies, the habitual nature is what floods the body again and brings us back into waking consciousness. So these are just systems of thought which are looking at what is happening in the experience of awakening and coming and going, and putting it within a system to try to help the mind to understand. But that doesn't change the fact, whatever system you use, that doesn't change the fact that there is a recognition immediately from wherever that awareness comes from, that I am awake now in the physical body, I am in the waking state. That doesn't change the fact that you have known throughout that period of time in some way that you were here and you are well now. Everything was fine. You fell asleep at this point, you woke up at this point. No consciousness was there, no awareness was there, no senses were there, and yet you were fine. You know this.
Okay, so you say that awareness and the senses, they are not necessary in the state of sleep. They are not together, yes?
Correct. They are not together.
They are not together.
Yes.
Um,
The reason I say this is to try to point you in the direction of understanding that awareness is the prior state. Awareness, or consciousness, let's say, is the vast sea or ocean in which all experiences of waking, dreaming, and deep sleeping are rising. Without this prior recognition, those three states are not knowable. The fact that they are knowable points to something. We are calling it here awareness. Some people will call it God. Some people will say it's consciousness. We are pointing toward this indefinable something which cannot be pointed to with the mind. It is not an object, and yet somehow holds all three states of waking, dreaming, and sleeping. This Bhagavan referred to as the self. This Advaita Vedanta refers to as the self.
And one more little thing. I wrote a little book about Maharashi, his thoughts, And the first thought is about the natural state.
Yes.
Natural state.
Yes.
So why all this meditation? Why all this effort? If we are all in the natural state already.
So, do you understand what he meant by the natural state?
I'm not sure actually.
Ah.
Sure.
The natural state is not the same as the personality state. The personality state, which has likes, desires, wishes, preferences. When Bhagavan refers to the natural state, he is referring to this recognition that awareness is here, that it is naked, so it possesses no me, no mine.
Okay, but do you think I'm not able to experience this natural state now with my personality as well? I am.
Yes,
Maybe I know.
yes. You have this question, you can answer yourself by understanding that I am. Yes? But if you wish that to be the natural state, to be your continuous state, as it was for Bhagavan and for other sages, then you have to begin to look at the ways in which the beliefs you hold about what is true of the body, the mind, and the world influence the natural state. When I say influence, I actually mean cover or veil. It is the belief that I am the body or I am the mind, which covers over the natural state, which is largely thought-free and without self, in the small sense, definition, personal definition. So, if you're in the natural state, the recognition is there is nobody here.
It happens.
I mean, it happens sometimes.
Yes, of course. But if you want that to be the foundation out of which you move through the world, if that feels appealing to you, then you have to question what the personality is telling you is real or true about you. Because that is not happening in the natural state, that is happening in the mind. The natural state can observe what is happening in the mind and have no response to it. When I say no response, I don't mean not act in the world. I mean there is no response which says, I am this desire, I am this thought, I am this activity. So there's no identification. Now the natural state is simply this being, consciousness and bliss, which is pointed to.
Thank you. It's enough because people so.
You see, it's very, very important to always be questioning the reality of what the mind is saying to you. The mind is telling you what this belief system is that you have, that surrounds the body, surrounds the mind, surrounds the world. It's always telling you, reflecting to you through your experience, what your belief system is. But in the final analysis, the task is, don't believe any of it. Don't believe any of it. You will still act in the world in the way in which you are required to do that, but it will happen spontaneously. You simply understand, I am not this, I am not this, I am not this, I am not this, as a way of dealing with the waking state. I am not this, I am not this. Soon you come to realize all of this is that. And so I am completely unnecessary in that equation. There is no one here. This is life itself, which is dancing. And I dance along in some way. But there is no one here dancing. Silence is here speaking. But nothing is happening.
On the way here, I almost had an accident with a scooter. I was on Changham Road and expecting the road to turn more far away, and then I said, oh, it's to the left, and immediately I drive, and it's a miracle that I didn't fall. So, like,
Arunachala's grace.
and like something, I was like totally absent, but it feels like something overtook, or like my body was moving like a snake, so that I didn't feel. And yeah, I feel like this addiction of always thinking I am sitting here listening to you, I'm driving the scooter, but not at all.
Not at all.
Like I was
Yes.
totally absent, and at the same time something was very present and moved in a way. So
Yes.
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 Yeah, and also when we were sitting here in silence, at first I felt like bathing in something. I don't want to name it because then already giving it a label.
Very good.
And how like pain in the body and like waves, they're moving something up. But yeah, this addiction of like framing it, or I am experiencing
Painting
this.
it through the I am experience.
Yes, and then
It's a
already
beautiful way of
it's
putting
like,
it. Yeah. Yeah.
also now that I'm shaking, just like to let it happen, but not put anything above.
Yes.
Yes.
Beautiful. This is the natural form of inquiry, where one looks at everything that's happening and sees this tendency to frame it through the I, and then just drops the I in favor of what is here. Yeah? This is the natural form of inquiry, coming to you spontaneously. You don't even need this question, who am I, or what is aware, or whatever. You just simply see that to try to frame it, try to give it form using the I am experience is false. It's just false. It's just a habit of mind to do that. Beautiful. Yes.
Yeah. Also now that I'm like, I'm experiencing the same. That is asking the question, the same that gives an answer is the same, and already like, okay, concept again.
Concept again.
Move back.
Let go.
It happens all the time.
Yes. Beautiful. Yeah, very good. Don't do anything.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Here to ladies.
I want to bring forward one thing that I explained some space. So the point that has to be made a decision either to go back to to school or not. And it's playing now as this I has to take the decision, and this burden not knowing what will happen. So I see myself beautifully guided but still, it's so, I put it in inquiry that it comes again and again.
Yes. So, anytime that there is this sense of pressure around, I have to make a decision, do nothing. Because this indicates that the mind is beginning to play in the field that it enjoys the most, which is the belief that it has some control over what is going to happen in the future. Yeah? It may be, you can look right now inside yourself, that the reason this is rising in the mind is because, in all honesty, you simply don't have enough information yet.
Yeah, that's very true. I see it, I know it,
Yeah.
but it's still playing as it should.
Well, yes, but understand why it's playing in some way.
It's a fear, not
It's a
knowing.
fear.
No
Exactly.
control.
Exactly. It's that loss of control, or the fear of loss of control, or something to do with that, the fear of the unknown, the fear of the uncertainty of it. All of this is the indicator that what is needed from the perspective of understanding the natural state is do nothing. Stand in this worried mind, invite it in. Don't worry, everything will be fine. We will go through this together. We have no choice. Right? We really have no choice. But, I am here. I'm loving you. I am holding you. I will go through this whole experience with you, so don't worry. I am here. This brings the attention from this fearful, congested mind state back to the heart. The reason to do this is so that you can really, in some way, begin to understand that you don't need anything. All is well. You are just waiting on the will of heaven. In some way, you can say this, right? We're waiting on the will of heaven. And when there's enough information, the decision just comes naturally. There's a flowing sense to it. This struggle is not there that you're experiencing now. So be very patient, be very kind. Allow yourself to be here, now, in this moment. Leave that decision for later so that you can enjoy this moment. You can be here in the presence of Arunachala, in the presence of self-love, in the presence of recognition that you are the self and that you are held in the heart of being. And in that space, everything comes right when it's time. Behind you.
Is it working? So one of the biggest fear of a human being is about not existing anymore.
About not what?
Not existing.
Yes.
And during the meditation, we are pure existence, pure awareness. So what is the relationship between death and this big awareness? I mean, meditation and the death. I'm kind of, I don't know.
What is the relationship between
Yeah.
meditation and death? Is that the question?
Yeah. What is happening when we die? What is happening about this big awareness in the moment when we die?
One can say that in a way, meditation and death are the same. Both are happening, if you will, the appearances, that both are happening. To the sense, me or mine. To this sense, I. So, what we are doing when we sit here in meditation and we just keep letting go, we just keep moving deeper and deeper into this primal sense of existence, I am, is we are voluntarily surrendering the ego, the personality, and so on, into its own death. In the Buddhist tradition, it's said that meditation, in some certain forms of meditation, are the preparation for physical death. The reason is because what really is going in physical death is also this sense of ego, of separateness, and so on. This is also what has to go. In death of the physical body, it is happening, one can say, involuntarily, just as a way of speaking about it. In meditation, it is happening voluntarily. We are surrendering the ego, the me state, the personality, in the recognition that this me state, this personality, is actually rising in something more spacious, larger, you can say, more infinite, which is the self. And so we are voluntarily giving up the personality, the ego, in order to be able to have this direct perception of that which is aware.
So it's like an exercise to get used to it.
Correct. And in the Buddhist tradition, this is exactly how it's spoken about, is that meditation is preparation for death, for physical death. Again, because both, there is a necessity for letting go of the ego. So that it feels like there's a relationship there in that way. Yeah.
Thank you.
I would encourage you, when these thoughts are rising, especially if you're in meditation, to simply ask the question, what does not die? I know the ego is going to die. I know the personality is dying in some way. What does not die? Now, when we ask this question, if I ask that of you right now, what does not die? Does anything come to you?
The life is in everything.
Correct.
It's not dying.
Life itself does not die. If you truly perceive this as a deep recognition, that then you can understand right now here, you, personally, this one, you can understand there is nothing happening here but life itself. This is only life itself. This is not me. This is not mine. There's no one here, but there is life here in this moment. And what is here for you at this moment is this vehicle of perception that life is here. Your difficulty, if you have some, comes from the fact that you think this vehicle of perception that recognizes this is all life itself mistakes that understanding, that truth, for this is my life. This is my body. This is my world. These are my experiences.
That is where the fear comes from.
The fear comes from this misinterpretation, and then out of this misinterpretation that this is my life, I have to defend something, protect something, figure something out, work something out, make a decision. I have to do that. You see, this is the misperception that there is something else happening here besides life itself. If you understand fully that life is here, and it is dancing, and there is nothing else happening, then you just dance. And the I disappears. So all of you, anytime you come into this place in your sit, in your quiet, whether it happens just naturally or you're doing some formal sitting practice or something, just understand that it's a very profound question in this space to say or to demand, show me what does not die. This you can know. This is what we can say is one of the consequences, one of the fruits of spiritual life and spiritual practices, is to come to know that you are awake here now as life itself. This recognition is eternal, unborn and undying. So don't shy away from that question, what does not die? Or from that demand of, I don't know who, but that demand, show me what does not die. Understand that Sri Ramana, and this was also my experience in going through cancer treatment, asked the question, what is this I? I am dying. He said he understood the body would go to the charnel ground, that cremation would happen, all of this would go on. But he knew that there was this I, echoing through awareness, through consciousness. And he asked, what is this I? This is the same as asking the question, what does not die? Not to get an answer for it, but so that the I that asks the question dissolves into the recognition of life itself, of being consciousness, which is here at all times as life itself. It was here before you came in this body. It will be here after you go. That is the eternal, unborn, and undying. You are that. The fortunate thing for all of you is that in this lifetime, you have come to this understanding. Maybe for you it's only a concept right now, but isn't it a concept you are working on? Yeah? This already makes sense to you. What a blessing. This is the presence of grace in your life, that somehow you are asking this question. What a blessed life you have. Know that you are life itself. Let go of everything else. Everything else is the flow of this life in this body. Don't claim it as your own. Know it is just life, and you are willing. Whatever it has for you in this body-mind, okay. Sometimes you will be dancing and sometimes you will be sick. So what? Nothing is ever happening, but life is going on. Okay, I think we'll close for today. We can sit, if you like, you can sit quietly for a few more minutes. And then the activity of cleaning up and putting away will start to happen. Please be well, happy, and peaceful in this moment. You are a light unto the world. Even you do nothing. Everywhere you walk is sacred space and holy ground. You are life itself. Hari Om Tat Sat.